Dr. Jennifer Razzle, my committee members, Dr. Beacon, Dr. Ricci, Dr. Hooksman, for supporting me for the past 4 years, as well as to Dr. Knowles and Dr. Bradley for examining today, and Dr. Francis as the chair. And last but not least, thank you to my family for their endless support always. My name is Rebecca Zach, and today I'll be presenting and defending my PhD dissertation, which, as an example of arts-informed research, takes the form of a series of YouTube videos and a blog, all housed online at raisingcreativity.com. I'll begin by explaining what I've done and the rationale behind it, and then I'll take you through the website at the end of the presentation. But before going any further, please allow me to briefly discuss my background to provide some context into my research into creativity. I am an artist, researcher, teacher, meaning I engage in art practice on an ongoing basis. I teach visual arts at the elementary and the undergraduate level, and when it comes to my scholarly interests, art and creativity are natural foci for me. My life in the studio and the classroom has shaped my journey as a researcher. For example, my master's research, I explored the systemic challenges of learning in the mainstream art classroom, and this provided the groundwork for my PhD research, along with a solid theoretical framework that supports the twofold notion that mainstream schooling is deficient as is, and that creativity must be fostered to meet 21st century needs. So I asked in my PhD research, how can creativity be nurtured in education? To answer this, I investigated 7 different educational models to see what's happening in each to nurture or neglect creativity. These included unschooling, homeschooling, Sudbury Valley Free Schools, Montessori schools, Waldorf schools, as well as alternatives within mainstream schooling and mainstream schooling itself. To provide specific direction to my inquiry, I developed 3 sub-questions based on current established research that focus on the conditions under which creativity can thrive. These conditions have to do with autonomy, support, and no evaluation. So first, autonomy. My question was, how and to what extent is the learner able to control what they do, as well as when and for how long to pursue an activity? Secondly, support. How and to what extent is the learner provided support for creativity? And lastly, no evaluation. How and to what extent is evaluation built into the model? Ultimately, the results of this inquiry can be used to inform change from a personal level to a policy level. I carried out my inquiry quite unconventionally. Instead of utilizing traditional interview methods, I employed Jenkins' notion of collective intelligence, searching for multifarious thoughts from the general public as recorded and uploaded to YouTube. After conducting a comprehensive audit, which included many diverse voices in regard to how each model nurtures creativity or not, I remixed these clips together to produce a new video to satisfy my research question. And then, in the spirit of the participatory culture of the internet, which Jenkins would describe as the idea that we throw ideas out there in the world and we bring them back in an improved way because of our engagement with communities, in this spirit, I uploaded this video to YouTube, as well as all others in the Raising Creativity series. Together, these video chapters, amounting to 93 minutes altogether, cover the necessary components of my PhD dissertation. So here we have part 1, which is my rationale. I introduced the issue of creativity and the deficiencies I found as a mainstream art teacher in terms of its implementation. Part 2, my literature review, which explicates the importance of creativity in depth. Part 3, my methodological framework, which is that I adhere to, which is arts-informed research, as I have yet to explain. Part 4, these are my data, so the video clips that I found through YouTube and remixed together that shed light through various lenses on how creativity is fostered and manifest in a variety of ways. This is by far the longest video at 45 minutes because it is a showcase of all my data after an extensive search and gathering process. And part 5, which I've entitled Illuminations, because it serves as a debrief for the audience by minimally coaching the viewer's thinking, and it elicits a call to action, whatever that means for the audience. Incidentally, part 5 also wraps up the intentional yet poetic B-roll narrative that emerged through the course of this documentary series production, and that is my pregnancy. The birth of my now 3-month-old daughter Zoe is featured in this part as a fitting denouement, underscoring the importance of the need for dramatic improvement in the education of creativity for the generations to come. And I'll discuss the bonus feature momentarily. As I mentioned at the outset, there is also a blog to accompany these videos that serves as a space that allows for greater depth where the video format would have otherwise been inappropriate. I also included several vlogs that documented my thoughts and progress along the way. And for anyone that doesn't know, a vlog is simply a blog done through video. So presenting my work through online video, namely via the YouTube platform, has several advantages that I was keen to capitalize on as an artist researcher teacher and an emerging scholar working in the 21st century. These advantages double as 4 key tenets of the arts-informed research methodology, as I'll now explain. So first of these 4, this format makes my work more accessible. To best illustrate what I mean, I'd like to show a 1-minute clip from the 3rd chapter, the methodology chapter of Raising Creativity. By making my research available in an open access format, that is, online on YouTube, the opportunity for distribution is wide open thanks to social media platforms that encourage sharing. In contrast, traditional dissertations and journals can usually only be read in university libraries or through institutions that have a subscription. Mass exposure is how this research can have its best chance at making a difference. Another advantage to presenting my work online is that it's more accessible in terms of its understandability, given that there's the visual and auditory realm to accompany what's being said.
Writing actually gives you merely a partial account of what is going on. It's like having sentences which aren't completed. And if you say, well, I'm only interested in writing, what you've really done is you've made it impossible for yourself to really answer the question which is being asked by your PhD.
Video allows me to layer all sorts of still and animated visuals, music, sound effects, and text together. Not to mention body language, expression, and intonation to produce a kind of super communication that makes things easier to understand and more captivating for you as the audience. To date, Raising Creativity has garnered over 36,000 views. Over 2,500 hours of time has been spent watching the videos, and it's been seen in 195 countries around the world by virtue of this online dissemination power of social media. I've received emails and posts from viewers globally, such as these. A YouTube comment from a user by the name of Stephen Oberauer writes, "I don't remember if it was drawing or coloring in, but I do remember that before I went to school, I enjoyed it. And going to school and finding out that I wasn't particularly exceptional at it sucked the joy out of it and made me no longer want to do it. I ended up taking the math sciences route at school, and yet somehow I have nearly 200,000 hits on my YouTube channel, my preferred form of art, which might have been a lot more had my art never been criticized at a young age." A Facebook comment, because I did upload these to Facebook as well. "Powerful, sure to promote discussion and engage people to change because of how you've made it user-friendly." And an email that came to me through the contact page at raisingcreativity.com. "Dear Ms. Zach, thank you very much for your wonderful YouTube documentary. I just watched it and enjoyed it very much. I found your video via a search on Google Video, typing in creativity and setting the period to 1 month. I live in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. I'd like to share the following with you: a blog, a Facebook page with cultural presentations, a book suggestion, a report on creative and cultural education by Sir Ken Robinson, and finally 4 other YouTube channels that you might enjoy." And he lists the links to all of those. With kind regards, Thierry Dufay. So all of these comments, which are just a snippet, prove that the online multimodal video format for conducting, presenting, and disseminating research was working effectively. In addition to accessibility, video provides a point of connection between me on screen as the producer of the research and those who consume it. This is important because it situates me as a real person behind the piece who cares about the issue being presented. It lends credibility to the topic. Also, like other art forms, video is conducive to evoking empathy. I felt it was imperative that this viewership empathize with the issue of nurturing creativity in education, in the hopes of ultimately spurring change on some level, individually, communally, or greater. Without visual images to help conceptualize and connect the viewer to the issue, empathy from the audience would have been hard won. And finally, producing a visually rich piece such as this invites pluralism. I aim for a level of subjectivity in my work, be it my artwork, my teaching, or my research, to invite people's thinking into flexible new spaces for consideration, to help them come to their own conclusions. The goal here is to introduce new ideas and promote discussion, leading to individualized, informed understanding and action, and not to prescribe blanket conclusive answers. Again, I encourage viewers to decide what's right for them. There is a reflexive piece linked at the end of the last video, part 5 of 5, in the form of a bonus feature video, which discusses how this research has resulted in change to my own practice for me personally. In it, I cover 9 ideas born from alternative education that I've adapted for use in my mainstream classroom. And I also review the current systemic limitations I face. This glimpse into my pedagogy is presented as part of my data set as a reflexive practitioner, as a case study of the adaptations that can be made in the mainstream system and of what is unadaptable from my professional experience. Ultimately, Raising Creativity is an example of meta-creativity. It's a creative inquiry into creative inquiry itself. It explores how creativity can be nurtured in education while implicitly pushing boundaries to nurture creativity in education research as well. Looking ahead, I want to publish my PhD research experience in academic journals because I believe it's timely in terms of using emergent technologies in the context of established research methodologies. My work from here will continue to employ arts-informed research in the context of the artist, researcher, teacher paradigm and grounded in unschooling theory. So whether that means creating more made-for-YouTube documentaries, producing more educational online videos, creating a thematic body of work to display in a traditional art exhibition, or writing and illustrating more children's educational books and teachers' resources, etc. My scholarly work, in other words, will continue to be inspired by my everyday pedagogy and art practice, and will seek to nurture my own creativity as I help others, on as wide a scale as possible, nurture theirs as well. So that concludes the PowerPoint portion of my presentation. And now I will take you through the website at raisingcreativity.com. You can follow along up here, or if you have a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop, you can follow along with that as well. When you go to raisingcreativity.com, this is the homepage that comes up. This is actually the blog that I was speaking about. There are 35 blogs altogether. They are in reverse chronological order. And I will just scroll down and show you all of them here. You can click into any blog you wish to read. So there's all of them, and they're all various different lengths. So here's a blog that I wrote. Anything in pink is a hyperlink. So it will take you to the reference material that I'm quoting, to that online source where it exists elsewhere online. I have used bolding and color to accent points that I want to stand out for the reader, things that I feel are most important for the reader. Some blogs have videos embedded in them where appropriate, and those have been referenced down at the bottom as well. Here's all my references. So there are a lot of references that the reader can access just by clicking. I have all of the blogs listed here along the side of the page for easy access. And I've also categorized every blog. So I've tagged them according to what category it belongs to. I've made up several categories to make it easier for people to access information that they may be looking for. So the categories that I made up were under the categories of each chapter. So there's a category for rationale, one for lit review, one for methodology, etc. And I've also tagged them according to the aspect of the creative process that they best fit under, if they fit under one of those aspects at all. So for example, if you were looking for information about the critique aspect of the creative process, you see here that there are 12 blogs that have to do with that. You can click on that, and all of those posts or blogs will be sorted here for you. So these all have to do with critique in some way, shape, or form. Also, I have these tabs along the side in bright bold pink, so you can't miss them. This is the blog that we were just in. I have a tab for abstract, and this is an abstract as you're used to seeing it, just the way a traditional dissertation would have an abstract. It talks about the project, the rationale behind it. This tab here, called the documentary, lists all of the videos as well as the bonus feature in chronological order for easy access. There they are. And I should also say that I've included social media links at the bottom of every page, so that if something strikes the viewer as interesting and they'd like to share it, I've made it very easy for them to do that. So they can click here and upload to Facebook, or they can tweet it. They can essentially do some of the dissemination work for me and spread these ideas far and wide. Here is the vlog that I spoke about. Most of these vlogs are about 30 to 90 seconds in length. They're pretty quick. And again, they just documented the process and interesting things that came up along the way as I was in production. I have a tab for press, which I hope to add to in the upcoming months. Right now, there's just listed there an independent podcast that I participated in last fall. So the link is there and the audio file is there for whoever may be interested. I just basically talked about this project and some of the ideas that informed it. And here's the contact page. So if anybody would like to get a hold of me, I've made it easy for them to do that. And I do have a button here for that is the full documentary. So all 5 of the parts have been put together and exist as one big long documentary right here, just in case that's another way that people might find it interesting, or an interesting way to access the documentary. So there you go. And I should say that all of the videos on this website, they were uploaded to YouTube originally, and they've been embedded to this website. So you can see here, you can click on the YouTube button. You can actually watch it in the YouTube window if you prefer. And then you can see the comments and the views that each video has garnered. So the reason for uploading to YouTube is simply that that's just sort of how it's done, and then you embed in your own website just to keep it all organized with the blogs and everything in one place. And I think that's about it for the website. So that concludes the summary of my dissertation. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and once again, I'd just like to say thanks to my committee, my supervisors for